Welcome everyone to Male Fuzz TV. I am Peter, that is Tara, and we are going to talk about Quantum Leap Season 1 episodes 16 and 17. Episode 16 is called Ben Interrupted, and episode 17 is called The Friendly Skies. So yeah, we didn't get a chance to record last week. It got so late in the week we just said, we'll just leave it and do them both together. So here we are. We'll talk about both. What's kind of funny about this pairing of episodes to me is that I've been quite down on the show probably for the last like 5 episodes, 6. I've been really feeling the grind of the generic network TV-ness of it and just really forced drama and shit like that. I actually think these two are two of the better episodes of the whole season. It's just really funny that I wasn't here to talk about it last week because I actually thought the Asylum episode was quite good. But I mean, not that it doesn't have its faults, not that there's still some nitpicks you could have at it and like some things. Like for all of a sudden Ziggy just is like, oh, if you do this, that's when you'll leap. Like, oh, so now it's that accurate, even though before it's always been quite vague. Whatever. Right. Aside from that, I thought Ben Interrupted was a very atmospheric episode. It felt like they actually were having fun with the direction, with the lightning flashes and all the tropes of the insane asylum genre. Like, I don't know, I felt like I was having a good time actually just enjoying the leap, and then it actually did things with like the ongoing story that were like impactful and interesting.
Totally. Yeah, I really enjoyed the Ben Interrupted episode, especially because things got real dangerous for Ben. And, you know, we get to watch something like that happen. And I am actually surprised that the episodes weren't reversed, because Ben Interrupted had like real high stakes and like Ben getting cut and dying on a leap.
Well, almost dying.
Almost dying, but almost like dying. He was in the process of dying.
Yeah. He just narrowly kind of made it long enough to leap, and he did seem to save the person as well. The body he was in did get saved because he pressed the car horn.
Yeah, and Addison had to do her best to help him, but like is totally helpless because she's a hologram.
Well, that's why this was good, because I've not done this yet. Because obviously she's a hologram, she can't touch anything. She has to just give him advice, but they're actually putting him in a situation where he may not even be able to do anything because he's too in pain, he's too hurt. So she has to try and like pep talk him into it when he's in grave danger.
Did you think of Terminator? Because he's basically like, or she's basically a on your feet soldier.
I did not think it. I can see why you would think of it though.
Yeah.
It never occurred to me.
Actually, Ernie Hudson says it to her, I think, in this episode.
Well, yeah, he calls her captain to sort of re-emphasize what her past is, to be go into soldier mode right now because you need to be strong.
On your feet, soldier.
Because right now you're in crying girlfriend mode. You need to be in soldier mode to get through this. Yeah, I the reason why that works is because it's like the first time they've done this, and if they did it too often, it would lose its effect. But this was kind of neat because it was like, oh no, he's actually in danger, and all he's trying to do is survive long enough to like leap and potentially save the host, but maybe not. So that actually is quite effective. But not even just that, the idea that Addison, when she realizes Leaper X is also there, she goes and talks to him because he can see her too. Right? That's also a big deal. That's also something that's like an advancement of like what they're doing with the main plot stuff. As is even just the idea that like we get introduced to a character in the Leap who's this like really shitty like orderly that works at the hospital, and he's like really mean to everyone. He's really awful. So then when Leaper X leaps in and he takes over his body, we have context for who everyone else thinks they're seeing. That was actually, again, different and interesting because it was like, oh, we actually know who this character was before the person leaped into him. So there was actually playing with the formula a little bit. And then the setting itself actually had a lot of fun atmosphere. And, it was arguably...
Good characters, I thought, too.
Yeah, I think arguably as well, because of the setting perhaps, it did a lot more to feel like the time period. It did really feel like the 50s more so than a lot of the episodes have done.
Yeah. I mean, I'm always going to hate the hair, but in the show anyway. But you're right, because everything looked kind of dirty and dingy and people had to wear uniforms. I mean, there's not really too much to place it, but it did feel old, like they're in an old building.
Yeah, it didn't. This is not what people wear in a mental hospital in present day. This was an older style, and even just to do an episode like this, it has to be set in a past time period, right? If you're going to do like crazy doctors working on mental patients, like plot
lobotomies,
it has
like
to be older. So so much of it, from the uniforms to the sort of the attitude and the way mental health is talked about and treated, all felt of its time. At least enough from a TV context to feel like it was that type of plot anyway. So
yeah. Dang it, I lost a point. Oh, but like I was also really happy to see Janus back in the episode, and it turns out that she's been on house arrest with her mom.
Yeah.
But then immediately we're like, we need your help with this, and she's like, why haven't you been asking for my help this whole time? And I'm like, yeah, like she seems like very clearly a valuable asset so she has a plan for Ben. That
is actually a problem that dips into this week's episode as well, is that she's gone again in this week's episode.
She's gone again,
and I feel like, and also there was like a weird like Jen was out with a cold in the asylum episode, and it was like is it because you've got Janus you don't want to pay both actors? Or like, even though it doesn't necessarily work that way, because I think Jen's a series regular, so I think she gets paid no matter what. But
yeah,
it does feel weird. It's like, why are you giving this weird excuse for why Jen's not around? Why not have her in the episode? Outside of the montage at the end, you don't see her at all.
No.
But Janus is around. And I'm like, okay, so why isn't Janus here? It feels like stakes are so high, and given the fact that you're taking her advice, and we'll talk about what she says at the end of that episode in a bit, but given the fact that you're taking what she says at the end of the Asylum episode seriously, it probably means you at least somewhat trust her, and she should probably be involved in the planning and like how to like work around stuff, and she's just not there. It's really weird. It just, there's nothing wrong with like characters being gone for episodes. Like sometimes it can be very natural depending on the type of character they are. But this show is like constantly feeling like they're missing Janus specifically. Just constantly feels like she's missing just because they only want to have the actress to be paid for X number of episodes, and you can feel it every time she's not there, because it's like, why is she not here? Because you don't want to pay the actress. That's the only, there's no reason in plot why she wouldn't be here.
She would have the answers, and they don't want a character that has the answers yet on the show. And
that's bad writing. That's bad writing, because it's a crutch to like, instead of having a good reason why we don't have answers yet, it's just, oh no, we're just going to like not have her around because
there's so many moments in this series where they have some sort of question, and I'm like, well, where's Janus? Like, you already know she's really involved in this leap and part of the planning, and she knows the pattern. Why isn't she there?
And you've had access to her for like 5 episodes, where she's apparently been under house arrest. And the first day Jazz says to Magic is like, I want quicker updates. I want you to be involved. And I'm like, yeah, why aren't you like asking her more things?
mean, Magic says like in the beginning or something that we're not a prison. We're not allowed to hold on to her. So we put her under house arrest. I'm like, but you're a military institution. So like you do have prisons. They're military prisons.
Maybe not in this building, but yeah, I'm sure they have access.
A base nearby.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, that's still like a weird, just running problem in the show. But I actually, the idea of having to work with Leaper X, Janus says they have to actually fail the leap, because basically Leaper X is trying to get to the same destination Ben is, so they have to sabotage like his sequence of leaps to save Addison. And that'll leave Ben trapped. So they all don't want to believe her. They all think she's full of shit. But that's what she keeps insisting. And sure enough, Leaper X is helping them save the day and like help the sister out of the asylum. And he betrays Ben. And it's kind of like telegraphed that he's going to betray him. When he's up at the top of the sewer exit, the manhole, and the sister goes up first, and then Ben's climbing up afterwards. I'm like, this feels like he could easily just like drop you or close the manhole and leave you behind. I wasn't expecting him to stab him in the neck. That was a bit more extreme than I was expecting, but I wasn't surprised that he turned on him, certainly.
Yeah. No, I mean, and it's smart that he had to wait till after, the leap was guaranteed to happen for him as well, that he's going to take out the opponent. And, Janus says that basically she gets distressed when Magic tells her the date that he's at right now, because this is their last chance. This is their last chance that he and Martinez are going to cross paths. And so if they don't sabotage this leap now, which would forever leave Ben in an asylum in the 50s where they lobotomize people.
Yes. What's interestingly about the premise of the episode is that him talking to himself suddenly just looks normal because he's in a mental hospital, and when he's given the truth serum and he starts just like telling them who he is, it just sounds crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty great.
I enjoyed that scene. I even enjoyed at the start when he's like, "Hey, Mr. O'Connor, what, who's the president right now?" And Ben doesn't have any clue what year he's in yet.
Yeah.
So he just takes a stab in the dark. He's like, "Oh, this could be JFK time. I'll say JFK." And he's like, "The senator? Ah, that's ridiculous."
He wishes.
So I thought,
what's your name? Mr. O'Connor?
I thought they had just more fun with the setting and the time period, and there was more of an atmosphere to the episode, but I think that actually carries over at the plane episode. I think the plane as well, the setting, the confined setting of this like 70s airplane helps make it feel like of that time. Something as simple of like the phone he keeps using on the airplane is kind of yellowed because they're all smoking on the plane like all the time. I was like, you know what, that's a nice touch. That's actually a good detail.
Should have been more smoking on the plane though.
It's because it's network TV. They don't let them for whatever reason.
You should just always be in a smoke-filled cabin.
Although that said, when they put the smoke of their like plan into the cockpit, it looks really like CG and paste on top, and I'm like, I'm really sensitive to. I hate like, can you not just pump in something harmless into the actual set? Just some steam or something. I don't know. But anyway,
just get some vape pens.
The other big thing though from the Asylum episode is the realization from Janus at the end who the mole in Quantum Leap is. That she thinks is Ziggy, and I was actually debating, especially when I was watching the next episode, whether or not is Ziggy actually a villain. Are they going HAL 9000 on us with Ziggy, or is it just a simple case of because Ziggy has all the memories, it's effectively just by default a mole for whoever's using it in the future.
That's where I jumped to.
Yeah, that's what you thought instantly. Yeah, because the way the camera pulled back as it was showing all the servers and stuff at the end of the episode, it made me feel like, they're doing like, he's evil. Ziggy's like Skynet. Ziggy's going to take over the. Oh, did you feel actually this montage at the end when she's like, there's a mole, right? And it's doing like a montage and it's showing you Ian thinking, could it be Ian? Could it be Jen? Did you suddenly feel like there's a lot of employees walking around that aren't normally there?
Yes, and they're the employees that I always ask about.
Yeah, they were in the plane episode as well. There was people. I saw a guy in a wheelchair sort of going around in the background. It's like they've got a whole staff all of a sudden. Right,
and yet Ian's doing everything by themselves.
Actually, that's one of my critiques. Like, so, the start of this episode, the plane episode, we have to shut down Ziggy, which Ian takes very personally for whatever reason, and. Okay, so we're going to have to do an episode without Ziggy's help. We're going to have to just manually search internet and like history records and things. Okay, I kind of felt like for the rest of the episode, there was no impact on anything because it wasn't like you're doing things just as well without the Ziggy the supercomputer. To be honest,
right? Yeah.
Other than complaining that you don't have Ziggy and it's taking longer, it doesn't actually feel in the episode like you're taking any longer.
Right. Plus the reveal that the hand link doesn't actually run off of Ziggy. It was some hand wavy thing where like, it turns out it has its own separate power component or whatever. So it doesn't need Ziggy to use the hand link. That was awfully convenient.
Yeah. See if they just had Addison like have to go without it and just have to like talk and like think of shit on her own. That would have been more interesting. And it would have even made more sense why they sent in Ian to help him land the plane at the end. Because it's like, okay, well, the person who actually has some of the knowledge and has looked at some of the stuff has to go in and talk to him directly. Right. That would make some more sense to me. That said, though, I do think the setting felt, again, good atmosphere. It had a couple of different characters, some red herring characters who... Ones who you think are nice turn out to be the hijackers. Ones who you don't think are nice turn out to have redemption story. The rich kid who's like annoying everyone. He ends up being the one who helps save the day because he's a hero. Yeah. He's had some flying lessons. He knows a few things. That's all fine and well. Don't get me wrong. Like we do keep. This is something that always comes up in Quantum Leap, but. There is a point where they're like, okay, Ben, if he's going to like save the plane now they've revealed who the hijackers are, he's going to have to get 2 armed men to get to the cockpit. And they're like, but he's in this body of this, slim young woman. And I'm like, yeah, but even Ben in his own body, I don't believe could take out two armed men. Like he's not John McClane, he's not John Wick. Like what are we talking about here? And yet he somehow does manage to take out two. I mean, he uses trickery. It's not like he's fighting them in a combat scenario, but he's able to do it with two different people.
It's funny to bring that up in an episode that is also overtly, it shows all the overt sexism happening to the poor flight attendants in the 70s.
Yeah, getting his ass grabbed and whatnot.
And even the female, the other woman flight attendant who's like, yeah, but isn't it worth it to have the job that we have? And Ben's like, I don't think so.
Honestly, my favorite moment of the whole thing is he keeps getting told, service with a smile, right? And there's a moment where Addison has to leave to go and help with the research, and Ben's like, what did I do in the meantime? And she just goes, service with a smile, and he just gives her this blank stare back of like, are you kidding me? You really, you hit me with the bullshit sexist answer? Is that what you're doing right now?
I like the outfits. I thought they were super cute.
I mean, yeah, they're very they felt, I mean, I don't know how authentic they are, but they looked off the time period, they looked,
did, yeah,
of that era
with the hats and stuff.
Yeah. So I thought the plot of This Sleep Again was relatively entertaining and kind of worked just in a fun sense where there's a clear jeopardy. It's like, okay, who's behind it? I did think it was a little predictable in places. Like, as soon as the co-pilot seemed nicer, I was like, oh, I bet he's a bad guy. But that's just writing.
There's a lot
101.
of red herrings in this, though.
Yeah. So that's like a minor complaint to the side. I mean, I didn't like it as much as the Asylum episode, but I did still mostly have fun. I thought
it was a pretty fun episode, though.
Yeah.
And it was cool that he had to do a leap that would save 100 people.
Yeah, yeah. The stakes are rising in the leaps. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was kind of impressed by their ability to find a way out of everything. Playing tricks in order to take out the guards, or building a Kirk style of smoke bomb for the cockpit to smoke out the captain and the other person who's hijacking the plane. Yeah.
I also enjoyed simple things of if I'm going to believe Firefly stuff, if I'm going to believe that Ben somehow manages to land a plane with some help and some guidance, it does make it more believable that Ian effectively gives him a HUD, like it's a video game. It says, okay, this will help, and you get the runway on this on the windshield effectively. And
I mean, there's a lot of people who are fully instrument rated in Microsoft Flight Simulator who I think are just waiting for their chance to be on an airplane, and someone says, "Is anyone here a pilot?"
Yeah. I think the plot was fun. The plot was fun. I definitely enjoyed it way more than the last both these episodes I enjoyed way more than the previous. We were theorizing when they got extra episodes, were they kind of stalling a little bit before the last, did they push their original last 3 episodes back and put in their 4 or 5 new episodes before them in terms of their ideas? Because it kind of that the family restaurant one, I didn't like that. What was the one before the Asylum episodes? I've forgotten now.
Oh.
Was that the ship? No, it was one after the ship.
It was after the ship.
Or something after the ship, I think.
I don't remember.
That doesn't matter. But I just, I think these were just more entertaining. They had more stuff going on in them. Not without their problems overall. There's still something I'm about to critique, but I definitely did not, I wasn't annoyed I watched either of these episodes at the end. I was like, I had enough fun in that, regardless of any complaints I have.
Yeah, totally. I thought the leap was very successful. That storytelling element was good. And I thought it was neat not to have Ziggy and what that would mean for the actual leap. When he leaps out of the flight attendant's body, and without Ziggy, how can they track him?
Yeah. And also, to go back to the Asylum episode, probably the best sort of acting we've had is probably when Addison and Ben, Ben's dying and she's having to try and give him the pep talk. It's probably the most dramatic they've gotten.
Yes, yeah,
and I
she
think
did the guttural scream again.
Yeah, and I think I liked how it was shot especially when they're sitting in the car and you've got the
rain happening.
The
too.
rain's outside. You've got just a street light coming in the window. I had just a little bit of panache to it, a bit of style.
That older car that looks like it's got the bench seat in the front.
yeah. So I appreciate that. What I am going to talk about though is the god awful old makeup effects on Ian in the future at the end of this episode.
Yeah, they're like they come out and they're just like a wizard.
That's the thing. So they don't know where Ben's went. There's no hint, and maybe you're thinking it's because Ziggy's down, but we're getting to the finale. It's probably a bigger deal than that. And sure enough, you see Ben and he's wearing something weird, and you're like, we're in the future. And then he's like, it's snowing in LA, and like the Quantum Leap building's like derelict and stuff. And out walks old person Ian with some makeup on to look old. And I'm like, I don't know.
Old man, look at my life.
I'm curious to see what they do with this future stuff next episode.
Yeah,
it's part of the fun of time travel shit, but
I mean, they didn't look that dirty to me, and clearly their hairstylist also survived and is able to bleach their hair still.
Yeah, the glasses look quite pristine as well, I have to say. So,
and their fancy robe, it's got like I don't know, some interesting design on it, and like it's great. Be stylish in the apocalypse, but Ian looked like a wizard when they came out.
Yeah. Maybe he's asking a lot for network TV to have a good old age kind of makeup job, but I
maybe
it's like, how far in the future is this really supposed to be?
I'm gonna guess 30 years.
And I was surprised that he said snow. I thought he was going to say this isn't snow, implying it was like ash or something apocalyptic. Because the world, at least from this one room, does not look healthy. It looks like we're in a post-apocalyptic landscape. Probably because of Quantum Leap. They caused this. Whatever it is, they caused this. And that's what Season 2 is going to be about. Season 2 is going to be about trying to fix this.
I was thinking that they were going to end up having to let Addison die. And then Janus would be the hologram for a season while Ben is trying to right that wrong. That would be cool.
Yeah, you just want Addison to die, though. Because Tara's had some hot takes off air, everyone. Fess up, it's time.
What?
Come on.
This show is perfect and I'm happy with it.
No, it's not. You're not happy with it. You said Addison. You said you didn't like Addison and you hope she dies in the finale so that we don't have to have her in Season 2.
I thought I said it in a way that was a lot more, plot driven. No personal preference. Like, I'm sure she's a lovely lady. I just don't think she's a very good actress.
Bland was a word I think you threw around.
She's bland. She's super bland. And come on, I'm such a fan of the original show. And Janus, I think, looks and sounds a lot like, her dad. And she's more interesting. She's more fun.
Yeah.
I want her to be the hologram.
Addison's too vanilla. You heard it here first. Tara's... She got all hot take on me. We were talking about something else the other day, and I was like, why haven't you brought this up? Bring this spicy fire to the show. How dare you?
I would have brought it up in the finale.
The finale?
Yeah, it's next week.
It has to come up here, because now there's stakes for us getting into the finale, because we know you want her dead. So if she dies next week, everyone will know commit to the final review that you're going to be glowing with happiness.
I'll be so sad.
And if she doesn't die, they're all going to be expecting you to be miserable.
No. There's room for improvement. Improvement.
I have nothing necessarily against the performance. It's more just Addison's written to be a bit. The love thing with her and Ben has been so plain and straightforward, and I think at the start I assumed there was going to be more swerves to it, more. Something else to make it interesting, and because it never has been, and it's all been very kind of simple and straightforward with they love each other, And yeah, at the start there was like, okay, why did I lie to her? But like ever since that's kind of like gone, there's not really much more to it. So having him interact with Jen or Ian or potentially Janus also seems more interesting than talking to Addison again.
Well, I mean, it sort of proved itself in the last few episodes. Oh, the one where the legal episode was the one after the ship episode.
Yeah.
Because that's when we got Jen in the leap as the hologram.
Yeah. I like Jen being there in the as the hologram. I wasn't necessarily into the plot of that episode that much though.
Yes, but I did enjoy having someone with
a personality.
Is that so much to ask? She's quite strikingly beautiful, but
Who, Jen?
No, I mean, yeah, she looks good too. But Caitlin Bassett.
Oh, Addison. Okay.
Yeah.
So you heard it here first. Straight from Tara's mouth. Addison's a boring blonde bitch. Those are the words that she effectively said.
I just, they had one episode where they were flirty and I loved it. And then there's just been negative chemistry since then. Like, come on.
Yeah, honestly, I did kind of feel negative chemistry a little bit in the asylum episode when he's like, I need to spend the night here. And he's like, I wish I could spend it here, keep you company. He's like, yeah, I wish that too. And they get kind of close and then she has to leave. Might have been the weakest moment of the whole episode.
Yeah, probably.
So, yeah. Yeah. I don't quite have the vendetta that you...
I don't have one either. You put this on me.
It's okay. Like, sometimes we just have seething hatred for something, and it's fine.
I know. I have that right now for someone else.
What? Is it Connor? It's definitely Connor. So yes, can't be me. I'm lovely. People love me.
The people love you, huh?
You're just mad because I forced you to drop the spicy hot take. That's all. I don't think it's that spacey.
She's just bland. She's bland and beige and boring. She's 3 Bs.
The 3B, the triple Bs.
Not the bees.
All right. Yeah, obviously it's a shame that when we condense 2 episodes together, you always inevitably don't talk about either one as much as you would if they were on their own. So apologies for that, but we didn't have a chance to fit in the review last week. I did genuinely like these 2 episodes way more than certainly since before it went on break, I think.
Yeah.
I think to some extent every episode up until the Asylum episode, every episode before that, since it came back after Christmas, I think every episode has ranged from mediocre to kind of bad. Like, they've all been kind of in that scale, and I was really starting to feel down. These last 2 that we're talking about today, honestly, when we go,
yeah.
they were both fun. Like, they're not necessarily excellent TV or anything yet, but I wasn't miserable.
Good. That's on the up.
Yeah.
Yeah, so. I enjoyed these 2 a lot. And I'm interested in this future leap. I know Ian said at the end that Ben probably has 1, maybe 2 leaps left. So I suspect we're going to get a double leap.
Well, until it's reset, of course, for season 2.
Until it's reset for season 2?
Well, yeah, it's like Ben's going to be leaping all next season as well. Unless they really swap things around and someone else is leaping, he's going to be leaping in season 2 too.
Oh, I suspect so.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we're going to get an episode that has 2 leaps in it. So
okay,
we're going to go to the future, and then we're going to go to the
probably
past.
Yeah, I was kind of almost thinking maybe he'll leap into himself, like in the past, and actually live out like a day before he leapt.
Ooh, that'd be interesting.
Maybe that's what he'll do after he's spent a conversation with Ian in the future. Ben can go back and affect other things. I don't know. Try and save Addison.
Maybe. I did see there was a trailer attached to the credits for next week's episode. I caught a couple of glimpses.
Was Addison looking deceased in any of those glimpses?
She was shot.
Really?
Yeah.
I can't believe you just dropped. What the audience don't watch the next time on? You just spoiled that for them.
You asked me a question about Addison.
That was a joke question. I didn't expect you to seriously.
You should preface it with this is a joke question.
Oh yeah, humor. The humor is great if you have to preface every joke with "This is a joke." Warning, joke alert. This is a joke. Brace yourself for a joke. All right, that's been Quantum Leap, episodes 16 and 17. Finale's left. I assume it's next week. I didn't check, but I assume they're not having a gap right before one last episode.
That seems like a mistake.
Yeah, that would be weird. Yeah. So thank you very much for joining us. Let us know what you thought of these last couple episodes in the comments. Like, subscribe, ding the bell for notifications. And of course, you can support all the content by going to patreon.com/MailFuzzTV and supporting us on a monthly basis to help keep all the content coming. And of course, I'm never going to make it as a comedian apparently, so make sure you support the YouTube stuff. So thank you very much for joining us, everyone. We'll see you next time. Keep watching TV. Have you got any vanilla?